What's going on, folks? Welcome back to the one and only Fragrance Fraternity. Thanks for being here. Go ahead, hit that like and subscribe button if you like fragrance content and you want to be a part of the best damn smelling fraternity in the world, the Fragrance Fraternity. So today, you read the thumbnail, we are talking cold weather fragrances. Fragrances that are going to work perfectly when it's getting in those sub-zero temperatures. You're freezing, your beard off, you're shaking, but you're smelling great because you watched this video. So we have 10 recommendations per usual. Let's jump into it. Enough rambling. We're going to start here with probably my favorite vanilla fragrance. Invictus Victory Elixir. Really sweet, so you got to be down with that. It is still a Paco Rabanne after all, or just Rabanne as they say. A really nice patchouli note in here. A really kind of resinous feel to it and sweet, but maybe not what you're typically used to as far as resinous vanillas goes. That sweetness is prominent. It really is powerful, a strong performer, enough performance to cut through the cold weather, which is what you're going to need when it cools down. Definitely want to get your nose on this one, guys. A huge improvement from the original Victory Flanker. This is the Elixir. Can't really see it on the camera, but it does have a bit of a blue gradient, so that's how you know it's the Elixir version. So definitely get your nose on it. If you're a fan of vanilla at all and you enjoy sweeter fragrances, this is going to be a stunner for you. It is certainly for me. Invictus Victory Elixir from Rabanne. All right, next one up we have here is Spice Bomb. Infrared Eau de Parfum, keeping it with that vanilla train, keeping that thing rolling. Similar style here, except you're going to get more of this fruitiness in the opening. You're going to get these red berries, I believe. I'm not sure if it's a cranberry note, but it could very well be something reminiscent of a red berry in the opening that gives it a nice fruity pop. Not necessarily a sweet fragrance at all, really. Focused more so on this resinous feel, on the spices, and also that vanilla. So a lot of use that you can get out of this. It's more of an evening time date night situation. It's got this kind of sensual appeal to it. I think it would work perfectly on evenings out, going out, grabbing dinner, and something where you're just trying to give yourself a little bit more elegance in your day-to-day wardrobe as far as your fragrance is concerned. So get your nose on it. Infrared Eau de Parfum. Let me know if you guys have tried it. I think it's absolutely phenomenal, and the prices have come down on it to where it's just a great buy at the current price point. So Infrared EDP from Victor and Rolf. All right, next one up we have is from the House of Goldfield and Banks. Now they do have some other fragrances that would probably be better selections for the cold weather, but I'm a big fan of ginger. I know a lot of the people watching also love ginger, and if you want a ginger fragrance that is going to work really well in the cooler weather, this is always the one that comes to mind. This is Ingenious Ginger from the House of Goldfield and Banks. For those of you that are not familiar with this brand, they are focused on high quality, natural smelling fragrances, very high quality, like natural origin, natural ingredients type thing. That's something that they prize themselves on. This is a brand from Australia, so they're giving you the goods from down under. They really are here. You get this Moscow Mule type of smell going on here, a zingy pop in the opening. You get this spice as well from the ginger working in there. And you also get a bit of a floral component and a bit of this ambery kind of vanilla component as well that really winterizes it and makes it more of a cold weather ginger fragrance compared to the citrus dominance that you would normally associate with a lot of other ginger fragrances out there. So it gives it that bit of heft and depth with the amber and the vanilla working together beautifully with that ginger. If you're a fan of Moscow Mule beverages or ginger fragrances in general, this is certainly one you got to get your nose on. Ingenious Ginger from the House of Goldfield and Banks. Really good stuff coming out of Australia right there. All right, next up we have a community staple, a community darling, an iris banger. This is Dior Homme Intense. A bit on the sweet side of the iris game. It's got that waxy, lipsticky, powdery type nature, so you got to be cool with that. But my God, this is an absolute stunner. If you are an iris person like I am, you got to get your nose on Dior Homme Intense. This is the newer formulation, which I've heard is a little bit sweeter, but whatever this is, it's pure magic. If you enjoy iris in the slightest and you like powdery, kind of waxy, sweeter fragrances, this is certainly one you have to get your nose on. Dior Homme Intense. And And it is intense. It actually is intense, because sometimes, you know, these flankers, they say they're intense. They're not all that intense. All right, next up, we have a Joel Matrix recommendation. This is Attar Khaltat Night. Beautiful cinnamon in the opening. You also get a nice bit of apple and cherry working together. This is the fragrance I'm going to go with this Thanksgiving. I think it's a perfect Thanksgiving scent. It is a little bit on that gourmand-ish vibe. It has this similarity to PDM Wajan, if you're familiar with that fragrance at all, but, you know, has its own twist as well. Phenomenal performance. Cool looking bottle. Not a lot of people rocking this one. This isn't a Middle Eastern fragrance, but it's a, you know, pretty high quality as far as sometimes, you know, the clone fragrances are not as high quality. So maybe there might be association with some Middle Eastern brands of, you know, a lower step in quality, but this is not a clone brand. This is not a clone fragrance. This is a niche, higher end Middle Eastern house. Attar Khaltat Night. Don't have a lot of experience with this house, but I've fallen in love with this one. If you enjoy like a cinnamon apple Yankee candle type smell, if you're familiar with those candles, those Yankee candles, the cinnamon apple ones, you're going to get a good amount of that here, along with that cherry underneath. It is just beautiful. It is edible. It is Attar Khaltat Night. Phenomenal fragrance. All right, let's go now to something significantly more masculine than the previous one. This is going to be Stronger With You Tobacco, the spiciest one in this line. You still get that beautiful type of chestnut smell that you would associate with that Stronger With You DNA, you know, kind of like that toffee sweetness. But the cinnamon spice is way more prominent here. There's a bunch of other spices as well working together. The most masculine, Stronger With You in my opinion. There are others that are quite masculine, like the Intensely, I think is pretty masculine. But the tobacco note and the woods and the spices and the amber dominance really blend together here beautifully. This is something that you could almost think came from a niche brand. This is really pushing the envelope of what you would think of a designer fragrance to be. Not really, you know, designer basic at all here, basic designer. Not really. This is pushing that envelope. This is giving you something more complex. This is definitely more of a Middle Eastern flair on that Stronger With You DNA. It is a Middle Eastern exclusive after all. So, you know, they like their fragrances a little bit spicier. They like them strong. So that's what you're going to get here, and a nice tobacco underlaying it all. So just a great fragrance. Can't recommend it enough. Perfect for the cold weather. Stronger With You Tobacco. Absolutely in love with that one. All right, let's go now to a clone, a straight up clone from the House of Alexandria. This is Centurion. And this is a clone of Creed's Centaurus, which is a pretty new fragrance from the House of Creed, and very expensive because it just came out. So if you want an alternative, save some money, maybe give it some time before the price of the Creed comes down, you know, in a year or two or whatever. This is going to get you 85% of the way there. It's going to get you close. Obviously the quality is not the same, but Alexandria does a really great job of getting really close to the scent profile. As far as the clone houses go, Alexandria, for me, in terms of quality and closeness, is the best. You're going to pay a little bit more, but such is life. Oftentimes you get what you pay for. You paid a little more, you get a little bit better product here. It does kind of remind you of the same Creed fragrance, Centaurus, more so when it gets to that mid and the dry down. The biggest difference here, I would say, are the woods, the quality of the woods. There's a bit of a difference. You're going to get a lot of cinnamon. Again, it's kind of a theme here. A lot of cinnamon in these colder weather fragrances that I'm noticing. But you're also going to get a bit of this kind of tobacco sweetness. Like it's like a sweet tobacco. It's not a very difficult to understand tobacco. It's a tobacco that you can really wrap your mind around. And some people even gave it a little bit of criticism, at least the Creed one, because it wasn't quite different enough than other stuff they smelled. It was a little bit too basic for some. I'm not really judging it that harshly. I think it's a phenomenal fragrance. I think it combines the sweet tobacco with a nice woody backbone and also a great cinnamon spice overlaying it all. So if any of those things sound appealing, Centurion is definitely a great affordable way to go for that Creed Centaurus DNA. All right, let's go with BDK's Gris Charnel up next. Have not been able to put a dent in this bottle since owning it. I've only had it for a couple of weeks, and I got to get a dent in this. It's kind of pathetic how full it is. But I absolutely love this fragrance. It is so phenomenal. A very strong performer, so you really only need a couple sprays. But fig, black tea, lavender, cardamom, some of my favorite notes all combined into one. Very cozy fragrance, a perfect kind of just chilling out fragrance, but you could also wear it as a date night. You could also even wear it to the office. Really, it does have a good amount of versatility here. Not necessarily a white t-shirt, just chilling by the beach kind of fragrance, but really you're not doing that in the cold weather anyway, unless you're in Los Angeles like I am. But I'm thinking about you out there. This is not about me. This is recommendations for you good folks. And for the majority of you, you can go with the Gris Charnel or the X Straight, and you're going to be smelling absolutely phenomenal. You're going to be blowing everybody away as far as people around you. This is in my top 10 favorite fragrances. If you enjoy black tea, if you enjoy fig, if you enjoy cardamom and lavender coming together in a beautiful symphony, you have to get your nose on Gris Charnel. It is a community darling for good reason. Let me know if you guys have tried Gris Charnel, what you think about it. I'm in love with it. It's one of my favorites. You wouldn't know by the dent in the bottle, but I haven't owned it for that long. So cut me some slack, okay? All right, next up we have is a fantastic coffee fragrance that is also a newer discovery for me. This is Amore Cafe. If any of you are familiar with the beverage of amaretto, you certainly get a prominent amaretto type of note here. More in the gourmand type of direction here. Very edible, very dessert-like, almost like a cake. It's almost like a coffee cake, really. A lot of coffee in the top and throughout the fragrance, but it doesn't dominate, doesn't overwhelm, it doesn't overtake. Like sometimes coffee fragrances, they can really just overwhelm you with that coffee note and you don't really get any other aspects to it. Not the case here. The blend is phenomenal. You get a, almost like a cake, vanilla ice cream cake, amaretto coffee mixture here. Just beautifully done. It's a stunner. Absolutely been enjoying, loving, wearing this one a lot. I think you will too if you enjoy coffee fragrances at all. Certainly get your nose on Amore Cafe and let me know what you think about it. All right, two more here. This is Boss Bottled. This is Triumph Elixir. Now, we're going a completely different direction in terms of scent profile. Very woody here, very patchouli dominant. Now, this fragrance, don't let the opening throw you off. If you get this fragrance in and you smell it and the opening throws you for a turn, give it some time, get to the mid and the dry down before you judge it, because there is a very mossy type of vetiver note in the opening here that kind of threw me for a loop as well in the beginning. I'm not going to lie to you. The opening with that vetiver, it was a little strange. And vetiver is usually a base note. Here they use it as a top note, which is interesting. But yeah, once that subsides, the majority of the life of this fragrance is this really kind of chocolatey patchouli that's really well done. Again, pushing the boundary of what you would expect from a designer. Hugo Boss has been coming out with some fire lately. You can find this one at the rack store. I did for $59.99. I think it was absolute steal. Quality is on point here. Good performance and sophistication, class, and really surprising how complex and how nuanced this fragrance is for coming from a designer house. Great value here. Perfect in the cold weather. Mature, elegant, woody, patchouli type fragrance here with Boss Bottled Triumph Elixir. Quite a name. All right, last one, folks. I've talked about this one before. This is 212 VIP Black. This is absinthe. This is kind of a black licorice accord. Now, I know those things may not sound all that appealing, but get your nose on it. This is probably, one of my other very favorite vanilla fragrances out here. You get this black vanilla. This black vanilla husk is what it's listed as. And it's an attention-grabbing fragrance. It's pretty easy to understand and pretty easy to like, way more than the kind of previous ones that I've been talking about. This kind of goes back more into designer land, so don't let that absinthe and black licorice description fool you, but you will understand what I'm saying if you get your nose on it, what I'm talking about. Good performance here. This is kind of like a clubbing fragrance in my opinion. I think it's very loud, it projects, and it has a monstrous performance. It's very attention grabbing too. It is on the sweeter vanilla type side of things. So if you want to go out and you want to turn some heads, you want to garnish some positive attention, I think this is a good fragrance to do it with 212 VIP Black. Obviously, the nice magnetic cap with these Carolina Herrrera 212 fragrances. All right, that's going to be it for today. I hope you enjoyed the list. Let me know down in the comments, what do you think about this list? What did I miss? What would you add? And what are you going to be wearing this cool weather season? Let's go with that. All right, I'll see you next time at the Fragrance Fraternity. Keep smelling great out there. Positivity is what we like to do over here. Keep it rolling. I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Keep smelling great out there, people. See ya.